हेलो।
हाँ बात हुआ।
हाँ मैंने मैसेज किया।
तो आ रहे हो ना?
देख रहा हूँ, एक मिनट।
मैंने फेसबुक लाइव कर दिया है।
ओके ओके। ये तो अभिषेक सर का यही तो नहीं है? पहचान में नहीं पा रहा हूँ ना।
आप एक बार पूछ लो ना, कॉल कर लो ना दोनों को।
ओके ओके, मैं कॉल कर रहा हूँ, कॉल कर रहा हूँ।
Good evening, everyone. We will be starting our webinar in a couple of seconds. So it's a request, please mute and please turn off your videos. Thank you. हेलो, राम सर आए? बट फिर अभी इंट्रोड्यूस कर दो तो फिर बाद में क्या करेंगे? देखो कोई काजल मिश्रा।
हेलो हेलो।
Everyone please mute yourself. It's a request.
Welcome, sir.
हेलो
Good afternoon.
अब मैं
Hello.
इंट्रोड्यूस करती हूँ, ठीक है ना? ठीक है. हेलो हेलो
Hello. Good afternoon.
गुड आफ्टरनून सर. थैंक यू फॉर
Yeah.
कमिंग सर.
Should we start now?
Yes sir, so I'll be introducing and then we
Please,
will start.
please start. Yes, sure.
Thank you. So a very good evening everyone. On behalf of GreenJustice Network Foundation, I Shriya Bajaj welcome you all for the national webinar on Bihar Prithvi Divas on dual disaster and Bihar assessment, mitigation and policy implication. All the participants are requested to mute themselves. If they have any questions, please send it in the chat box. We will discuss it in the discussion round. So before starting, I'll brief you about the GreenJustice Network Foundation, Advocacy for the Earth. It is a non-profit organization dedicated to the advocacy for the earth through awareness, action and networking with awareness, young minds, and to find the solution relating to environmental issues and create a pattern of behavior of individual groups and society as a whole towards protecting the environment. Finally, to make a positive contribution to the conservation of the nature, natural resources including wildlife, and stimulate community and private conservation efforts. So this webinar is being co-hosted by India Co-win Action Network and Plant Eco Circle and Srishti Shanrakshanam, and the media partners are Campus Varta and Gaya Beats. So today on Bihar Prithvi Divas, we will be talking about the recurring issue being faced by the state, that is flood and COVID-19. North Bihar faces flood almost every year, but this year the challenges have been more because of the rising COVID-19 cases. Our esteemed resource person will be discussing on the major concerns. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our resource person for the day. Firstly, we have Professor Ram Kumar, Dean Center for Earth, Biological and Environmental Science, CUSB Gaya. He will be talking about the dual disaster and assessment of in the Bihar. Secondly, we have Abhishek Kumar, Indian Forest Services Gaya. He will be enlightening us on the mitigation and policy implication related to the dual disaster in Bihar. So without a delay, I would like to call Professor Ram to start the lecture. You are welcome, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. And at the outset, I should thank organizer for having this very meaningful and useful topic of today's webinar. And exactly, people have been facing and discussing what is happening and how this flood and COVID both concurrently acting upon how it is affecting. So I thank you, organizer, for this kind of topic. I am also happy to have this Mr. Abhishek Kumar, forest officer, and other people who are here. I'll be very happy to interact and to learn things from you people. The thing is, what we say, let us come to the topic, that is dual challenges in Bihar. Bihar has been facing dual challenges since beginning. Immediately after independence, Bihar has been facing this kind of challenge. It was completely agrarian society. And you see, agrarian society and this agrarian, very slow industrial growth, and it has two kinds. That time Jharkhand, at least this mining rich part, southern Bihar, as it is now Jharkhand, that was part of Bihar. But now you see Ganga, exactly middle crossing this Bihar state, and north of the Ganga, frequently recurrence of flood. Annually, this has become a habit. People are adapted. Almost flood will be coming in June beginning or June end. And how to do, what will be the intensity of flood this year. And south of Bihar, simultaneously, many a time you will see, I have some data also, facing less rainfall, less than 50% rainfall. They don't get proper this time or proper rains for sowing their paddy. So here again, drought. Simultaneously, Bihar policymakers are facing to how to mitigate drought at one side and flood at the other. And not only that, this dual challenge we have been facing in life all the time. Simply, we earn money, we plan how much money to save for future, and how much money we spend for our quality life. There is a dual challenge, and we have to make some kind of trade-off, what is called optimization of resources between two extremes for our survival, and this is survival strategy. However, these dual challenge, what I mentioned, two-dimensional challenges, yes, we have been facing, people have been facing all the time. Even India is facing, like Pakistan on one side and China on one side, and it has to fight or face both. What to happen? How to face? Yes, but here we have some idea. We know how to face this challenge. We know what strategy will best work to get the meaningful result. But today's scenario is completely different. Now, see, this scenario where COVID-19, this has become a pandemic. From China started, went to West, Europe, America, then came in March, mid-March, it came in India. One or two cases already came in February, but finally community participation, community testing started after 15th of March. And you see, it came in India. And then, when it came in India, our government, we all policymakers, everybody, we are spread. It should, very much afraid of this disease. It should not be a community spread, community infection, which now happened. Well, of course, somehow lockdown started, and particularly in Bihar, of course, we were very much afraid if those immigrants will come from all over India and also abroad, they will affect Bihar, and we have hardly any protection device. We have hardly any ventilator. What to do? And second is, if those people go to their rural area and they escape, they will not. This COVID-19 will not be detected. This will be spread, and there will be no protection or prevention at all. So hidden spread will be another danger that we were afraid of. See, why not other state? Because our state is 12th in territory. Area-wise, our state in India is 12th. And as far as population is concerned, we are third most populous state in country. So area-wise less, we come to 12th position, but population-wise third position. And when our population, age structure of our population we think of, it's quite different. We have 58% individuals less than 25-year age. So quite young population. So if something happen, our young tomorrow's future are affected. So, of course, Bihar, lots of miseries, pains, grief, and brainstorming happened. And while having this kind of brainstorming, while having this kind of protection or trying to escape from COVID spread, flood came. And this flood, you see, of course we can say recurrence. Annually it comes. If we see from 1968, every alternate year we affected by flood. There are some research paper that says that most frequent flood, largest number of flood occurred in last 20 years in India is in Bihar. You see, so you can say that yes, so we are evolutionarily adapted. We are very much residing in flood-prone areas, so we can survive. We can do whatever we want because we are adapted to. But again, what I said, we don't know the intensity of flood, number one. Number two, developmental activities going on and we
वो
don't have any
श्रिया बजाज वाले को
long-term
मेल कर दो ना, कि वो
remedial
लैपटॉप में
measure,
रह गया है।
long-term mitigation
ठीक है
planning
ना,
of
और
flood.
अभी ना
We have
चैट
not
बॉक्स
been
में जो भी
able to
क्वेश्चंस आएंगे
achieve.
मुझे व्हाट्सएप पे
So
बस सेंड
new
करते रहना।
embankment is coming. We don't know when
और तुम
there will be
प्रेजेंट कर
breaches
रहे हो
in
क्या सर का
embankment,
पीपीटी?
and finally we will be inundated. What to do in this
अच्छा, जब
case?
सर बोलेंगे तब करोगे?
Now,
Okay,
when
ठीक है।
flood and COVID both together, what will happen? When there are two kinds of challenges
Hello.
or two extremes,
हेलो। हाँ,
problem is these two extremes will be antagonizing each other, or it will be synergistically acting upon each other. If it is antagonizing, that is antagonist, okay, we can say one affect other. One reduce the spread or intensity of other disaster. But if it is synergistic, that means it is not increasing in arithmetic progression, but in geometric progression, the occurrence increases. Situation is different. Yes, flood, we have flood control department, we have different department working for flood control, we have relief measures, our people are, disaster management people are trained off, we know. But COVID, we don't know at all. Or protection, sometime, yes, protect, we say only, let us protect. We cannot treat, protect ourselves. But is that protection possible in flood affected area? See, the thing is COVID, when we say COVID, this coronavirus, this is quite different because overall ecosystem integrity has been affected. Our resources, particularly forest resources, affected. When habitat encroachment is occurring, we are more in close proximity with wildlife, with forest dwellers. When we are more in close proximity, there is more chance of affected by different kinds of disease, that is zoonotic disease, as new and new zoonotic disease have been coming, occurring, although this is coming from China to throughout the world, but again, more chance of jumping of zoonotic disease from wild to animal, wildlife to animal. And in our case, when this wildlife is degraded, forest is deforestation taking place, and population is more, and population density is higher, then what will happen? We are more in contact, in proximity with other species, with other species, with other member of our own species. We cannot maintain all the time the exact distance required. Then what will happen? How can we protect ourselves? And when flood is coming there is different situation. In this case, it is next to impossible to protect ourselves. It is next to impossible to predict the impact of, concurrent impact of these two outbreaks in Bihar. And again, for the policy maker, it's a very difficult time to make a strategy to save, strategy to protect them from these two acting concurrently, simultaneously. Yes, if this is the condition, there are also chance of other pathogens to come in. Like you see, as we know, Bihar has been suffering, bearing all these kinds of things like Japanese, like, although we don't know what is disease, but disease similar to Japanese encephalitis in northern Bihar, same area. This season only, again there is chance another or new and new zoonotic disease and other disease coming in, and we are infected. What to do in this case? Let's come first COVID, then we'll go to flood, and then we'll go to simultaneous or concurrent impact. This virus, of course, we say it can be degraded if we put some soda water or some detergent or sunlight for 3 to 4 hours or 2 to 3 days, depend upon the substrate, it can be degraded itself. This was the theory initially, but now again this theory has been rejected. Some people say no, this degradation is not this one because it is very fast mutating virus. It mutates very rapidly, and in that case, what will happen we don't know. Bihar situation is completely different. It is subtropical.
Without a delay, I would like to
and flood affected area is again
Professor
different.
Ram
How this
to
virus
start the lecture.
will
You are
mutate,
welcome, sir.
how this virus will adapt, and how this will jump from one individual to other individual of our own species. Because you see, you say that okay, it's a human to human contact, it goes. Is that true? Now some recent research paper says that no, virus particles are present in air, so it is not only human to human contact, but it can directly come from air also. Now there is another issue, how to do this, how to face this situation. These are important dual challenge here, and of course, what kind of trade-off or optimization do we need to make to face these two challenges working on us simultaneously? Now, look at this particularly situation that is different in Bihar from other part of world. If you see map of Bihar, I think I have given this PowerPoint also. You see Bihar, one side people coming from Nepal or Bihari people going to Nepal. So it is international boundary we have. Other side, UP, Uttar Pradesh and other part, what happens, individuals, immigrants come all from western and northern part coming from UP side to Bihar. There is no check and balance. Okay, from eastern side and southern side, from Jharkhand, West Bengal people coming to Bihar. Okay, so this is the situation, the spread coming or immigration of our own species, and not only this, immigration of or influx of this disease, COVID, coming from all the way to Bihar. And besides this, same is the causes of flood also. Flood, of course, eastern side it is not coming, but when I said northern of Bihar, all those rivers mostly originate from Nepal, okay, Himalayan, nascent geological region of Himalaya, originate, steep origin, steep flow, okay, very fast. And what happened in that case, when it originates steep flow, then what happens? It brings lots of sediment, and then base that river, this depth decreases, level bottom increases because of sediment deposition. So river has no way other to go for lateral swelling, and that lateral swelling we have been facing much more than before. A. B. Nepal also has no option. They have to release water. They will not be. If they don't release water, entire Nepal will be in water. All Himalayan water will come to Nepal. Okay. They have to release it. And this coming all the way coast from like Kosi, Budi Gandak, Bhagwati, Kamala, Kare, Balan, all these rivers are discharging its content.
We affected by flood.
Almost
there are some research.
Also, other side coming is Mahananda. Okay, that is also coming from Bihar, from Himalayas only, and that is also Hava. And we don't have a proper mitigation, what is a long-term river linking plan. Yeah, this, you see all these rivers coming from north, these rivers are very much affected, rivers bringing the water. And normally what happens in after June to or sometime October, sometime September, entire part of North Bihar, that is one side the boundary is Budi Gandak, other side is Nepal, completely flooded in water. No transportation, no schooling for the kids. Okay. Now you see, if this happens, no transportation, no schooling, flooding, and flood is the situation here coming. How to go and spread the news, or how to go to help people who are affected by the flood and who are affected by the COVID-19 virus simultaneously. What to do? One. Second, we don't know, there are asymptomatic cases of COVID-19. We don't know who is affected or who is infected or who is not. So in that case, how to go and how to be in contact with the people? I have seen some people going there and distributing masks to flood affected people, but they are not in a position to use. They don't have house, they don't have place. Quarantine system, places like school, like Panchayat Bhavan, those are all now all inhabited by local people, flood affected people. They of course get place, some refuse either on the embankment or on the high altitude places, some higher place like some, if there is some school, some community place, if at higher latitude or higher level, they go and take refuge for this flood time. So again, there is no social distance. In this case, what to do, how to mitigate, how to face this kind of challenge. Can you, next slide, can you go? Excuse me. Yes, you see here, okay, you see here, this is this year flood impact of flood going on. This is Champaran and some part of Gopalganj. Okay, now people, what to do? One fellow has gone to distribute the mask, okay, but they have two extremes. One, protect themselves from coronavirus, COVID, use mask, maintain social distance. Another, lower panel, you see that slide here, they don't have any livelihood, so they should die because of coronavirus infection, or they should die because of starvation. There is two extreme again. What to make? Finally, they cannot starve, they have to go and take food, and naturally they cannot take food wearing the mask. Okay, food is distributed community at common place, too many people there. So again, two extreme. What kind of a strategy to be made by our policymaker to protect from these two extreme? Another issue, please next slide. Another issue here is, you see in this case above, what happens when all of a sudden flood comes, when their house, their schools all inundated suddenly because of breakage or breaches in embankment, then they have to rush. They have to protect their goods, their young ones, all these things. They rush, they come in crowd again. Again, how to protect, how to maintain social distance? Another issue. Next one. Now, if this is the case that coronavirus and social distance both are there, please go to next one. So both acting upon concurrently, and both have different selection pressure. Flood says you stay at one place, you stay in community, okay, and it says that you should be protected. Many of you or many of our family members or our rural people, they don't know swimming, so they have to be with somebody. So they somehow they tell, be in crowd, be together. But COVID infection says no, maintain social distance, live in quarantine, don't intermingle with other human beings. Now, what to do in this case? We don't know how to protect ourselves. So, this is the issue. There are two different kinds of issue. Next slide. What happened in this case? In these two issues, you see flood and drought, flood and COVID. This is very important. Flood, it is coming it is recurrence, frequently coming since beginning. Therefore, we are, or at least our government should be adapted to protect ourselves from the flood. Our government should have some long-term planning to protect ourselves from flood. Now, this is another important issue that, yes, we can say we are evolutionarily adapted. Our agricultural system is evolutionary adapted, but again, recent development, we use BT crops. We use transgenic crops. They are not adapted to this water condition, not adapted to our local climatic or flood condition. Okay, we are adapted, but these crops not adapted to, because we forgot our traditional long-term, tested crops, and we started using transgenic crops. Again, our agriculture is affected, so our livelihood is affected. Okay, we don't have job, unemployment problem, food security is at stake, and then places are inundated. Okay, now when we come to COVID, again similar situation. We don't have job, no transportation, food security is affected. Okay, but places not inundated. Here inundated. So difference is what one waterlogging condition, how this COVID virus is mutated or adapted, or what is its infection or transmission condition, and one where no waterlogging, no flood, how COVID virus is adapted or mutated and it transmits. This is important issues, those are to be studied. But again, as I told, this is not only dual approach or dual challenge, two challenge, but this coming synergistically, and then challenges increases. Like one says crowding, living together, one says no, physical distance should be maintained. One says use mask, one says our economic conditions do not allow us to use mask. What to do? One says remain in the home, don't go outside, don't work. Other condition says we cannot afford this. We have to go in water, we have to manage, we have to get some livelihood in flood condition. What to do in this case? And what is our responsibility? Government again alone cannot do. If we are dependent on government or policy maker, this will not be possible, because we have, as I said, rural area, people escape. Okay, people don't try. People just hide their disease, hide their problem. They don't try to expose. Then how come government know? How come other people know? So these are the issues. So here, for these two challenges, we have to take three approaches. One, our government should have some kind of long-term mitigation planning. Second, that is long issue, that how to do, what kind of river linking can be done, what are the river like northern part of Ganga, southern part of Ganga, Himalayan river and other river like what's called Phalgu and all originate from Jharkhand. What to do? How to make this trouble-free condition. A, B, B, government, if government cannot do, what to do? Can civil society do alone? Again, if civil society cannot do, then what will happen? So three stakeholders, three approaches should be taken. That is our own government, civil society, and every citizen itself. So our purpose is to educate our citizens. Government purpose is proper policy. Policy should be made in long-term view, not short-term again, and also short-term, long-term both, and every citizen to follow the proper guideline to optimize between two extremes. That okay, we cannot face the starvation death, but we cannot face COVID death also. So how to manage, how to optimize, make a trade-off between these two extremes there. Let us make a trade-off and let us survive in this condition. This is very important. So this is very important. So it is responsibility of civil society, government, all to educate, and every citizen should be responsible. This is my submission. I should thank you all. Thank you all. Hope this will be some useful for you people.
Thank you so much, sir. They were very valuable takeaways. Thank you so much. Now I would like to call Abhishek, sir, to deliver his lecture. Abhishek, sir, you are welcomed.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, this is Abhishek Kumar. I am Divisional Forest Officer posted in Gaya, and I am looking after two districts, Gaya and Jahanabad. At the outset, I would like to thank Rahul ji and GreenJustice Network Foundation for giving me this opportunity to talk with you people. Sri Ram Kumar ji have very elaborately discussed about the challenges that we are facing right now in Bihar. So Uh, I will try to skip that part, and I will try to restrict myself to the topic that has been given to me, and it's for mitigation and policy implications. Now, as the discussion was going, that in Bihar, the river Ganga, it is kind of a water divide for Bihar. Water divide in the sense that the northern part of the Bihar, it experiences flood, and simultaneously the southern part experiences drought. It happened last year also. Even around 140 people died in South Bihar region due to heat strokes, and at the same time in the North Bihar we had flood situation. So, but the important point here is that this is not once in a while phenomenon. In Bihar, this is an annual affair. So why there has been no solution for so long? Why we haven't been able to contain and mitigate these impacts? We still everywhere we get news of the impacts that are happening, and it's disastrous every other time. So I will try to focus on what are the low-hanging fruits that we can start, and we can bring some changes immediately. So while talking about this, one thing that is very easy and we can easily do is that if you look at the northern portion of Bihar, north of Gaya, there are two major rivers, Gandak and Kosi. And these two rivers, every year what happens, the river changes its course. Now the changing of the course of the river is the most important reason for the flood that is happening. So what we need to do is we should try to mitigate this changing of the course. Now how we can stop it? Obviously this is a very difficult task. The water is coming from the Himalayas, the water is being crossing Nepal, and then it's coming here. So obviously there are two aspects to it. One is the controlling the flow in Nepal itself, which involves diplomacy. And obviously, as we all know, right now the relations between India and Nepal are at a new low. So one is that the central government and the state government, they should act in a concerted manner and try to have one big dam and reservoir built in Nepal. Nepal is resisting the construction of the dam. Obviously, that's why we need diplomacy at this level. One is that, and the another is we should stabilize the banks of these two rivers. Now, I have had my stint in Valmiki Tiger Reserve. It's located in Betia. I was there during my training. Now, every year, what happens during the rainy season, the Gandak River, its meandering course, it sweeps many villages in that area. And now every year it's happening because the banks are not stabilized. Now what we can do about it? Right now what people are doing is they try to use geobags and everything. Now, but these artificial methods are not working. So one solution is, and I am also trying to implement it in Gaya, is the planting of vetiver grass. Now I would ask every one of you, it's called khas grass also in local language. This vetiver grass, now it has unique properties, is that its root goes around 5 to 6 feet below the earth surface. So what happens is the binding of the soil is very strong. So if this vetiver grass is grown on both sides of the banks of Gandak and Kosi, obviously we will be able to mitigate some of the impacts, if not all, of these two rivers that is happening annually. Now these natural methods, these need to be promoted. This is not even a very costly affair. It's just that we need to orient the people who are working in the irrigation department, in the micro irrigation department, so that they should tame the banks. They should use vetiver grass. Now I would suggest all of you to go to vetiver.org. It's the site. You can see what are the benefits of this grass. And this grass, obviously it has many other benefits. Will not go into that right now, but this bank stabilization can be done. That is one. Second, I talked about the diplomacy thing, that in Nepal, if you are able to ace it. We are able to convince Nepal to get the dam and reservoir constructed, so that we are able to control it for some time. And that time becomes very important, is because then we'll have the time to move our population to a safer place. If you have if there is no dam, they are simply releasing the water, you don't get the time to respond to it. You don't get the time to evacuate your people, evacuate the animals. So that is why so much loss of lives and property is happening. Now apart from that, another thing that is happening is, because the population is rising, as Sri Ram Kumar was discussing it, the population density, he talked about the population in the area. The population density of Bihar is highest in India. So now this has very serious implication. Now if the population density means the population per unit area, if it is highest, that means there is scarcity of land. So what is happening? Due to scarcity of land, people are illegally settling on these areas, the banks of the rivers. Now if you have more settlements on the banks of these rivers in these areas, obviously the impacts that are going to happen would be worse. The vulnerability increases of the population if they are going to settle on these lands. So there should be a government action to ensure that the people don't settle on the floodplains of these rivers. These floodplains should be empty. These floodplains should be used for agriculture, but they shouldn't be used for settlement of the people. That is another important thing. And apart from this, I would like to now talk about the corona, the impacts of corona, and how we are going to, how we can take some policy measures to mitigate its impact. Now, as we all know, this corona pandemic, we don't have any precedence for such pandemic, at least in the known future. Even the pandemics that have happened earlier, like Spanish flu around 1917, but this kind of situation with this stage of development and this level of population, the population in 1917 was very small. It was less than 1 billion in the world, and the population right now is more than 7 billion. So obviously the vulnerability has increased many folds. Now, so what we can do to control this the corona pandemic and or any such pandemics that may occur in future, because obviously we are exposed to all kinds of viruses now. Every now and then we are also listening that some new virus has come up. Obviously it doesn't go like wildfire, but these viruses are happening, and we don't know which next virus is going to impact again in the same manner. So the policy implication should be is that we should first try to go to the root cause of this pandemic. Now, till now, whatever the research have happened, there are two theories that this pandemic has spread either from bat or from pangolin. They haven't been able to establish it beyond doubt that from which animal it may have started. Now, so whether it is pangolin or bat, why it is happening? As it was earlier talked that it's because our exposure to the wild animals have increased. Now, why has the exposure been increased? The exposure has been increased because of two things. One, we have logged our forests. So since we are destructing our forests, these wild animals, their habitat are being destructed and they are coming out. Then poaching. Then the second thing is the wildlife crimes. The wildlife crimes means the poaching of the animals. Now, you will be surprised to know that the pangolin is the most trafficked animal, wildlife animal of the world. Now, since this is the most trafficked animal and it's crossing borders everywhere, so what is happening is the whatever viruses are there in the body of the pangolin that were earlier kept safe by the pangolin are now being exposed to the world. So like bat, this is a repository of viruses. There are not there is not single or 10 virus in the bat. There are numerous viruses. Even we don't know how many viruses are there, but they have been kept safe by bat for so long. Now that is the role of the wild animals in our environment. So like in ecology, there are so many organisms, they have all their roles. Many of them are storing those viruses, and they were not exposed to the human population. But right now what has happened, because of the kind of development that we are seeing, these wildlife crimes are happening, then because of all this deforestation is happening, now we are exposed to these zoonotic diseases. So obviously, since the cause is this, obviously the solution lies in handling these causes only. One is that we need to have a very strict wildlife crime laws. Now, wildlife crime uh, obviously it's not as important as other crimes are, from the perspective of the political people. So the emphasis that is being on wildlife laws and wildlife crimes is not as much. So we need a political inclination so that we are able to have stricter laws for it. That's one. Now the second would be that the zoonotic diseases. Now that we are all exposed to it, the research on zoonotic diseases need to be promoted. Now we should be aware of what kind of vulnerabilities we are exposed to, what can be done. So what can be done in future if those viruses or bacteria, it could be any microorganisms that could impact us. So that is important. Mm. Then apart from this, the what is happening is that now that the economic activities have all slumped down everywhere, the economic conditions are very bad. So what will happen is that once this corona pandemic is under control, what will happen, all of the industries will suddenly they will try to restart the economy, and obviously we also want to restart the economy. So there will be higher pressure of environmental pollution after corona. Now we all have been listening that during the corona times the nature has recovered, the rivers have been cleaned, air is clean. So all of these things are happening. But what will happen post this pandemic? So suddenly after this pandemic, the political inclination will be to relax the environmental regulations. Right now EIA draft is being discussed. So there also the regulations have been relaxed. So what will happen is that we'll go to a worse situation after post pandemic. And obviously because the development will become primary for the political setup. So what they will do is, obviously the climate change thing and the green laws, they will take a back seat. Like this year also, we know that the United Nations conference on climate change, it has been postponed for next year. So the countries investing on the green technologies, promoting a greener way of living, controlling the climate change, they all will take a backseat. So it will become very important that we have the experts and we have the political setup who have an inclination and who have an understanding of the situation, and they are able to look at the bigger picture. So then only we will be able to learn from this pandemic and try to have a development paradigm which will help us to have a better society, a healthy society and a safe society. So that is very much important and it is needed. Now these were some basic things that are important for mitigation and as policy implications. I would just like to add some few local things that may be done easily by the people. See, this cyclone is also happening everywhere in Odisha, but we all know that after 2006, the casualties and the destruction, it has gone very low. The Odisha government is able to handle this situation every year, and they have done it in a very nice manner. So we can take a cue from it. So there are few things like we can ask the people living in those areas to build their houses on a raised platform. That could be one. We could promote community granary. Community granary concept was there in ancient India, we all know. So if a community granary is made at some raised place or at some safer place in a village, so what is happening now is everyone is storing its grains in his house. So when flood comes, all these grains and everything, their savings is lost. So if you have a community granary concept, And obviously now this is a digital world, you can get it documented how much your grain is there, that can be stored at a safer place. So the crisis situation for the people will obviously be mitigated. So these are a few low hanging things. Also we can promote alternative crops for the people living in those areas, like as I talked about vetiver grass. Similarly there are other like lemongrass is there, then then you have tulsi. The medicinal plants are being, these things can be given between the crops. The intercrop cycle can be promoted for these new type of plants, so that people have an additional this an additional income opportunities, so that they are better warded off in these crisis situations. And then apart from that, there should be a better forecasting system. Now why is that? Obviously we all have the people in Bihar have adapted to the floods every year, but why still is that we have deaths happening? We are not able to control our control the misery of the people. So that means we don't have still developed a system where every year if the flood is happening, we are able to rescue our people, evacuate our people, and keep them at a safe place. So that kind of thing can be developed. We can have a place where these people can be in safe shelters, like we are keeping here and there. There should be an organized way of evacuating the people and keeping them safe there for 1 month or like that. That can be done. And forecasting, if we have a better forecasting, obviously we'll have better time to react to it. So better forecasting can be promoted. So uh, these could be these are something that local administration can do. So like NGOs are also working in the field, so they can promote these kind of thing among people. They can talk to them. They can say, since this is happening everywhere, these people they can make such kind of structures for themselves. They can make one self-help group, and then they can have a community granary at one place, so that they can save their grains. So all these things can be done locally also, and obviously with the help of administration, it could be easily reached to people. So these are the few things that I wanted to talk. And just one thing about Gaya, like in this pandemic, what has happened is Gaya is a service sector dominated district. So what the tourism and hospitality sector is most prime here. So most of the employment, also the dependence of the people was also on tourism sector only. So now what has happened that right now so many people have been thrown out of employment. So what is important here is that, for taking a cue from this, we need to promote agriculture and industry. Both sector needs to be promoted. Agriculture, we are a agriculture dominated state, but we still haven't made agriculture remunerative. So like I was talking about other crops, the crop cycle and everything. So obviously those can be done, and industry and agriculture needs to be promoted. The sole dependence on a service sector, and that too on a single service sector, that is the tourism. So that is the reason that Gaya is suffering the most. So all these could be our lessons, and obviously the policy implication would be to promote agriculture, promote multiple cropping, intercropping, these things, and promote industry in Gaya. In Gaya, and obviously in other districts also, based on their socio-economic conditions, they can make policies. So this is as much that I wanted to talk about. So I'm open to questions, and the moderator, she may take it from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, your talk was very informative. It was very nice listening to all the solutions which you shared. It was very nice. Thank you, sir. So now we will have a question discussion round. So some of the participants have raised some questions. So the first question is, northern part of Bihar is always facing flood, while the southern part faces lack of rain, that is drought. Is it possible to transport water from northern to southern part of Bihar via making canal or any other alternative?
I would like to answer this question.
Yeah.
Actually, the last year only, Sri Nitish Kumar ji had inaugurated one scheme. This is called Ganga Water Lift Scheme. So we were actually during the sanction process, we are actually, the forest department was working on it. So we had the opportunity to work on it. What this project has been developed, obviously this cue has been taken from the Atal Bihari Vajpayee's idea of interlinking of rivers, and it's obviously all the time talked about, but it still hasn't been done. The reason being it hasn't been done is it's a very costly affair. Now, while it may look very easy that while you have flood at one place and drought at one place, why not take the water from the flood area and put it in the drought area, and both those situations are solved? But it's not that easy. We know that the terrain of the Bihar is such that the slope is from south to north. So obviously lifting water, so much amount of water is a very big task. Then terrain is there, and then land acquisition is there. So much things are involved in executing it, is that it becomes very difficult. But right now what we have done, we have given a forest area of around 100 hectares in Gaya district, in Atri block. So what we are trying to do is, during the flood months, what will happen, the water will be pumped from the flooded areas, and this water will be stored in the reservoir in Gaya. And from here, the channels have been constructed. These channels will provide water to Nalanda, Nawada, Aurangabad, Gaya, and Jahanabad, all these districts that are water scarce. So, but the water is right now being tapped only in the months of flood. Not like that every time we want to tap water, we'll drain it from here. Only in the months of flood we are going to do it. So this has been finalized, it has been approved, it has been given sanction by the forest department, and the work has also started in Gaya. So that is one good thing, and obviously you will be happy to know that the question that you have raised, that it is actually being implemented in Bihar now.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. So one more question is there. Anyone of you can answer. Without political consciousness, do you think that industry and agricultural reform can take place?
I would like Sri Ram Kumar ji to answer first. He has more experience than me. He'll better be able to. I would like to add some point to it.
Ram sir, are you there?
He's not audible. Can you contact him personally?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Hello? Am I
Yes,
audible?
sir. Yes, sir. Now you're audible.
Okay. Yeah, so that was, see, political willpower is definitely required, and nothing substantial can be done without political willpower. But again, political willpower is complementary. Every citizen has to think about this. Yes, industrialization is different issue that politicians have, politics or our government has to manage or to do some kind of changes in rules or whatever for our industry. But only it can be possible if a farmer gives some land. Because if we don't give land, or political whatever, they don't acquire land, they will not be able to provide land to the industrialists to set up industry. Therefore, this is a two-way situation. Both citizen has to support government, and government has some kind of willpower to bring industry and industrial reform. I think I'm
Yes,
able
sir.
to answer.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Abhishek, sir, would you like to add something to it?
I have very rightly said,
Yes,
the
sir.
only way to promote industrial reforms or agriculture reforms, obviously it is through political will only that we can do such big things. Like right now what's happening, that industries are moving out of China, so they will only come to India when you provide them the ambient conditions, the ease of doing business that is talked about all the time. That is actually all those parameters that Sri Ram Kumar was talking, that land acquisition is easy, you give them tax breaks, you relax the labor laws. Like right now, also in UP and Gujarat, the labor laws have been relaxed in this post-pandemic time. So obviously, all this requires only the political will. It is not possible to do it by people only. Obviously, the people are here. People should be they should have an entrepreneurship mind so that they can promote more industries here. Now, even startups are not coming. So, like the new education policy, it's talking about developing more entrepreneurs. So, in Bihar, you don't have many entrepreneurs. Also, startups are not happening. So, even people need to come up. The people from Bihar, they are going outside and they are developing the startup. So, obviously, they need the atmosphere for development, and obviously, they need to do it here also. So, it's work from both the sides. So, we expect that this happens sooner than later, and we have a better economically improved system in Bihar.
Yes, sir. It's true what you said that it's work from both the sides. So I'll be moving on to the next question. The next question is, could you elaborate on the laws related to killing animals which destroy crops in Bihar? Few years ago, police was allowed to kill nilgai in Bihar.
Actually, police was never allowed to kill Nilgais in Bihar. In 2016, the forest department in Bihar, they asked the central government to declare Nilgai and wild boar as vermin. Vermin is actually a Schedule 5 animal in the Wildlife Protection Act. There is the single act that is there for the protection of the wild animals is the Wildlife Protection Act. It was passed by Indira Gandhi in 1972. So within this act, there is the power has been given to the central government, not to the state government. State government cannot do on its own. That when a state government recommends that there is huge loss to the lives and the property if it's happening, then the central government may give the permission in particular areas to cull these animals. We don't now cull is a beautiful word to cover up our act or the sins of killing. So this culling was allowed here in Bihar in 2016. And obviously there at many places the culling has also been done of nilgai, but that is not the solution. Even in Gaya, every year we are giving so much of compensation to these people for even for the deaths compensation are there, for crop damage the compensations are there. Uh, and the culling of these animals have also happened, but even in those areas the incidents haven't reduced. So obviously it is not the solution. Culling is never the solution. The solution is obviously that they have lost their habitat, they don't have their habitat, so they are coming there to the crops to for their feed. It's not that they are intentional destroyers. So there are few things that can be done. One thing, that pilot project that I have taken in Gaya this year is there is a village in Chulhan Bigha. It is in Tekari block in Gaya. So we have installed there 10 instruments. Now these instruments are such that if any wild animal, not just nilgai, any wild animal or any person comes within a range of 50 feet to that instrument, it is a solitary instrument fixed at a place. So then it will start releasing sound and light waves that are unpleasant to the nilgai, and then the nilgai goes away. Now this has been working for last 1 month, and we talked to the villagers, and not a single incidence of crop damage has happened this year. The sowing was done 1 month back. So we are hopeful that these kinds of innovative things can be actually used to like ward off these damages or loss to lives and property. But culling is not the option, and we should never like promote this also.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Ram sir, would you like to add something? Okay, so moving forward to the next question. The next question is: can you believe that one of the prominent reason of Bihar backwardness is the feudalistic mindset of the people? If yes, what is the how to deal with them?
Yes. Should I reply?
Yes, sir.
Should I respond?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Yes. You see, in Bihar, feudalistic mindset of people started since British time only. Zamindari system started, and after this Zamindari system was abolished, of course, but then feudal system, land lease and many different kind of things started. And agriculture was affected. Of course, the main economy or main economic source is agriculture in Bihar. North Bihar, there was emigration of or out migration of laborers, so they didn't have any man force to work. And South Bihar, the reason was this peasant and labor, there was conflict started. So militant movement started. Sometimes arms movement also happened. So because of this reason, agriculture was affected, and feudalistic mindset that people still, those having some land, they don't want to give proper wages to their laborers. They don't want to see even good quality life for their laborers or other people. And this kind of struggle, a conflict started, and that is main reason of main reason of backwardness of Bihar, I can say. Even industries, you see, even industries, many people don't want some fellow coming from a laborer class, they should not get this job. These things happened in beginning when industries started in 60s and 70s. So this is, of course, yes, feudalistic mindset, that is important reason of backwardness in Bihar.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Abhishek, sir, would you like to add something to the question?
Yeah, very rightly said by Sri Ram Kumar that obviously we have the feudalistic mindset, and this we have inherited as legacy, not only from like British time, but even before that. Now, the first reform, the land reform that happened was actually in Bengal. Bengal at that time comprised of Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. So that reforms that happened at that time, they were very disastrous. So I'd not like to go into the nitty-gritties of that reforms, but what has happened after that, that now there are big landlords in Bihar. Now they are actually absentee landlords. They have very big lands and it's lying idle in the villages. And the tenancy reforms that should have happened in the right manner didn't happen. So what happened is that in even these absentee landlords, they are very wary of giving their lands to the laborers to cultivate. And the laborers, since they don't have any uh, uh, we should say at least partial ownership in that land, so they are not investing within on that land to increase their productivity. So it's like both way. So the laws are such that if I am a worker and you are absentee landlords, you are not also willing to give me your land. I am also not willing to cultivate on that land in a proper manner. So that feudalistic mindset is also due to laws, and obviously the other factors that Sri Ram Kumar talked about. So just I wanted to add this, that legal reforms need to take place in the tenancy sector, and the land reforms is obviously the need of the hour.
Okay, sir. So the participant has asked that how to overcome this mindset.
This is okay. This is very something that we have to change our mindset, and slowly it is happening. Development and literacy, these two factors affecting our mindset, and slowly development is coming in, of course, and people even in rural area, they are showing some kind of different attitude. So slowly we see some changes in my mindset, and I'm sure this will happen soon, perhaps next 10 years, we'll see some kind of changes in mindset.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So the next question is COVID-19 virus characteristics and the guidelines to tackle it are not consistent. So how do you feel that putting masks and social distancing in lockdown are appropriate measures?
Well, okay. So, well, see, this is not appears not consistent. As I told, this virus is very rapidly mutating, and this is the reason we don't have any other way to protect ourselves. Means all the time we use mask, we remain inside, we are locked down because of this reason that we don't know how it is coming, so better to protect ourselves.
Abhishek sir, would you like to add something to it?
See, the reason that we don't have a consistent, or we would say so many guidelines and instructions are coming up, is because we haven't seen this pandemic ever. So obviously, no one is ready with some instructions and guidelines that we can follow up and things will go good. So we are all like, every time the situation comes up, we come up with a new guideline. So we are all working in ad hoc mode. So it's very difficult. It's important for all of us to take the necessary precautions. There is no other way, because there is no vaccine, there is no guidelines, there are no surety of whether the vaccine will come up. So even government, obviously they would not like to tell this. This will be political suicide that we are not able to control it. But that is actually a situation. No one knows how to control it. So we'll have to take our own necessary precautions.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, this is the last question for today's session. The question is how to prevent flood, and whether multiple river linkage project is merely a dream, or will it become reality? Like it is not being implemented on the ground. Just the projects are coming. So what do you have to say on that?
Okay, so it's not that it's not being executed on the ground. There is one Kane Betwa river interlinking project. Obviously, it's it's being executed since 2014, and the reason it hasn't been completed is obviously Forest Department of Madhya Pradesh. It's actually going through a tiger reserve. Now if you do the cost benefit analysis that is being done actually by the department, the benefit that it will accrue by providing them water, but the loss of the diversity and the forest and everything that is happening, it's a very big thing. So again, these river interlinking projects are not as easy as it looks. As I told in the beginning, it looks that we'll pick up water from where it's excess and we'll put it where it's a shortage. So, but between this, there is a black box. Now it's a Pandora's box. You don't know how many problems are happening. So that is why Kane Betwa, it hasn't been done till now. Apart from that, the amount of energy that is required to transport water from a lower area to higher area, it's very high. Now obviously you'd be worried, like, then why these people are talking that we should do this, we should do that. One is, it's a politically easy thing to talk, to give the people a sweet dream. That is easy. So you give them a sweet pill ki, okay, drought will be resolved, we'll try to do this that election gets over, and obviously everything, when it comes to working level, nothing is happening. Now what you can do is go and search it on Google, that whether a river interlinking system has been successful anywhere in the world. It's important that you do this study. Let's not go just about, we all have studied in, I also remember studying it in class 6 and 7. Some river interlinking was given for the first time there in the NCERT book, but it hasn't been done because it's practically, there are so many difficulties. One thing that I talked about was this forest area and how destruction is causing. Other was this lifting up is so very difficult. Then there is land acquisition. In Bihar, acquisition of land is a big issue. That's why industries are not coming up here. No one is willing to give up their land. So apart from that, the construction and the amount of money and energy that you will invest on lifting water and giving there, maybe it will be easier that you pack the water there and then supply it to the people of those areas. So so we all have to do all these analysis. So only after that these projects can take up, and it has been very difficult road to complete any of the projects, let me tell you.
Okay, sir. So thank you. Sir, a counter question has been raised. Venice is the country who managed the proper canal system to manage the flood-like situation. Can't we adopt these examples?
See, the Venice, the canal system that is being talked about, it's only possible in areas where you have the water reservoir at a higher level, and then you are supplying water to the areas that are lying low. So canal system can only work in that area, and that system is there in our northwest India. So if you go there, it was Indira Gandhi Canal system, if I am not wrong, that is supplying the water to all those areas. Why has green revolution only happened in Punjab, Haryana, and Western UP? It was because the canal system was developed only in those areas. So the canal system has worked for us and we have done it, but the canal system cannot be implemented at all other places. Now, the dry area that we are talking about is the Deccan area. Deccan area is a plateau. Plateau means it's a raised upland. So supplying water to that area from North Bihar is not possible by canals. So we should look at actually the on-field data and the facts that are available where it can be implemented. Obviously, Canal is a very good system and has been done in India also, and it has been successful. We have seen the green revolution success.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much. Ram, sir, would you like to add something?
Yes, you see, canal system, when we consider this and river linking, we don't consider river as an ecosystem. You see, river is a body, and all suppose we want some kind of mismatching, connecting one river with other, that is north flowing river to south flowing river or North Bihar to South Bihar, that will be unethical in part of ecologically also, and also lots of difficulty will have to face later because there will be ecosystem cataclysm or disaster will happen. That has been tested already, like Tennessee River in USA, they have already reported this condition. And this canal system, what counter question was asked, this is typically in North Bihar, we have chains of river. All rivers are like canals only. You see, you start from all the way Valmiki Nagar or this West Champaran, you go all the way to Katihar or even Kishanganj to this New Jalpaiguri, chains of rivers there. And these rivers swells almost simultaneously. This is not like one, like Ganga is low flowing and Gandak is high rise. This is not the condition in that case. So even linking will work to mitigate flood or not, we don't know. A. B. Why do we need canal system? In a case where we have chains of different kinds of rivers in different parts, every 10 kilometers we have one stream. So first of all, what we should do, we should go to old practice. Every village should have some kind of reservoir. Earlier days, every village should had some pond or some kind of water reservoir. Every village should at least have reservoir, that is 5% of the land should be reserved for water holding, water logging. Fishery production can be done. Makhana culture, trapa culture can be done. Then what will happen? Two benefit. One, flood mitigation. Second, we are facing in summer, we are facing water table crisis also. Okay, so this will recharge our groundwater also. So two benefit we'll get. Third, land rejuvenation. This help in rejuvenation of our agricultural land. So in that case also we'll get more, less use of fertilizer and more yields out of this. So this is very important. In all villages or all panchayats should have at least one reservoir, or scientific study says at least 5% land reserved for water logging.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It was a very fruitful discussion.